Expressing choices, would rather versus would prefer. Hello, English language learners. Welcome to another video in our series on conversational English. Today, we're going to tackle an interesting topic, expressing likes and dislikes. In particular, we'll focus on the use of the phrases would rather and would prefer. These expressions help us convey our preferences in a polite, conversational manner. Let's dive in. Would rather is used when you want to indicate that you prefer one thing over another. The structure is usually would rather plus base form of the verb. For example, I would rather read than watch TV. This implies that, given the choice, the speaker prefers reading over watching TV. Remember that when comparing two different people's actions, we use a slightly different structure. Subject plus would rather plus subject plus past simple. For example, I would rather you stayed at home tonight. This means that the speaker prefers the idea of you staying at home. Next, we have would prefer, which also communicates preference, but in a slightly different way. Its structure is usually would prefer plus to plus infinitive, or would prefer plus noun. For instance, you could say, I would prefer to eat at home, or I would prefer a book. When expressing a preference about what someone else does, we usually use would prefer plus object plus to plus infinitive. For example, I would prefer you to stay at home tonight. This sentence expresses the speaker's preference about another person's action. You may be wondering, are there any significant differences between would rather and would prefer? Not really, they're quite interchangeable in many situations. The key difference lies in their grammatical structure, as we've seen in the previous sections. For instance, to express the same idea you could use either I would rather go to the park. Using would rather, I would prefer to go to the park. Using would prefer, both sentences convey a similar meaning, the speaker's preference for going to the park. And that's a wrap on our video about expressing likes and dislikes using would rather and would prefer. Hopefully, you now have a better understanding of these two expressions and can confidently use them in your English conversations. Remember, practice makes perfect, so try to use these phrases when speaking or writing in English. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our next video. Keep practicing, and happy learning!